So Maran writes on the top of page 26. This is page Yud Kei Vav Kei 26. Says Maran. Well, we'll wait for Maran one more halacha. We're first going to do Hey in halacha Bra, then we'll go to Maran. Can I have a tissue, please? Thank you. Oh, he beat you to it?
Yeah.
We should have a who is nicest to the Rav contest.
All right, Ty, you won.
Yay.
Yidakdek, a person should be careful. Bilvishat habgadim, when wearing his clothing. Kol beged, every article of clothing, kedarko, should be worn the way it's meant to be worn. In Hey, in page 26, in Hey, in the middle of the page, on the Chabra.
So that means you're not allowed to use if you have two T-shirts and one you're wearing normally, and then one you're wearing as a head covering.
I don't know if that's not allowed. That's interesting. I don't know if that's not what allowed. I think here what it means kedarko is that it shouldn't be inside out.
Oh.
Yeah?
You shouldn't.
That's a good question. I don't know that that's not allowed. V'lo yilbash beged hafuch, you should not wear clothing inside out. Dehainu, meaning she'atzad ha'pnimi shebo, hatfirot, the side on the inside where you see the stitching, nira mibachutz, will be seen from the outside.
So basically you should wear it in a way that doesn't cause a furrow Hashem.
Dress code. The source for this is the Talmud in Masechet Shabbat.
We follow the Yud Gimel to find the...
Yeah, perfect, exactly. See where it says Shabbat?
Oh,
It just says Shabbat.
Oh, Shabbat.
Yeah. So...
Oh, no, that's the page number.
Yeah, exactly. Kufu down. Very nice. Vafilu, and even Keshelovesh, when he wears Habeged, the clothing, which is Hasamuch legufo, which is touching your skin. What is that? That's your underwear. Sheino nirei mibachutz, that's something that people don't see on the outside. The way you wear your undershirt, nobody's going to know. Who knows if it's inside out, upside down? Who knows? Yizaher shelo yilbashenu kshuafuch, even by undergarments, a person should make sure that they don't wear those inside out either. You could say, listen, nobody's going to see it, so what's the problem? Also by there, a person should be careful. V'tov, and it's good, to be careful about this. Gam bebeged, even with clothing, she'ein hatfarim nirim bo kol kach, that you can't really see the stitching. Now, most of our clothing, some of it, you don't really see stitching on one side, the other side. So even what if I have a clothing that doesn't have stitching? So even by that, you shouldn't wear it inside out. V'im ta'ah, if a person makes a mistake, v'lavash b'gado kshu afuch, and he wore his clothing upside down, inside out, ra'ui, it's preferable, or it's proper, shiachzor, that he should go back, v'yavchenu, and turn it over, v'yilbashenu kedarko, and go back to wearing it the way it was meant to be worn. It's an interesting discussion. Okay. It seems to be there's two different things here. One is wearing the clothing inside out. Another one is if you already wore it inside out, do you have to go back and turn it inside, fix it? Yeah. It seems to be that some say that only everyone has to be careful not to wear the clothing inside out. But if someone already wore their clothing inside out, only a Talmid Chacham must stop whatever he's doing and change his clothing around. Everyone else, only when it comes time for tefillah, they should make sure that they already look decent in front of Hashem. It's interesting, but most poskim don't say. Most poskim agree that everyone should go back and change their clothing around to make sure they're wearing it properly. Alright, let's see Maran on the top of the page. What happened to our chibur? Who's missing? Jack, we're missing. Raul, we're missing. Simcha, we're missing.
A lot of people.
Dan and Daron were missing. Zev is not feeling well.
My girl is coming back.
What?
Did he just heal himself with a...
Yeah? He's on his way?
coming.
It's coming. Okay. Like Mashiach almost. So it would be bad if someone says, no, he's actually coming, not like Mashiach. Then you're in trouble, right?
We'll see who arrives first.
So let's see the top of the page. Maran writes in the Shulchan Aruch. A person should put on mid'al yamin, his right shoe, tchila first. This is the famous halakha you've heard of, right shoe, right shoe, tying, putting. In Hebrew, there's no standard word for to wear or to put on clothing. In English, you say to wear your shoes, to wear your tie, to wear your shirt, to wear your hat, to wear your... In Hebrew, every word has its own verb for it, meaning. How do you say a belt in Hebrew? Do you know? Chagura. Chagura. So instead of saying yilbosh chagura, I should wear his belt, you say yachgor chagura. He will be yachgor a chagura. It's the same word. It's the verb of that word. Shoes are called what in Hebrew? Minal or minalayim or na'alayim. So therefore, a person, what does na'al actually mean? Linol? To lock, like to lock the door. So a person is linol minalayim. He chews his shoes. Yeah? And putting on his shoes. A person is chovesh kova. He puts on a hat, but they don't translate well, but that's the reason why it doesn't actually say here to wear. Unlike in the remember on page 25, lilov sho, to wear it the way it's supposed to be worn. We're not going to use that word again by shoes because you don't really wear shoes, you chew shoes. So you should chew minal, your shoe, yamin, of the right one, tchila first. Put on your right shoe first. V'lo yiksharenu, and you should not tie it.
Kehillah is right.
No, tchila is first. Yamin is right. V'lo yiksharenu, and you should not tie it. V'achar kach, and afterwards, yinol shel smol, you should put on your left shoe. V'yiksharenu, and then you should tie it. V'yachzor, and then you should go back. V'yikshor shel yamin, and you should tie the right one. So you put on, tell me the order. When you put on your shoes, which one do you start with?
Right shoe.
The right side. And when you put on, Baruch haba, Baruch Hashem.
Left shoe.
That wasn't meant as a guilt trip, it was meant to, we miss you. Baruch Hashem. And then when it comes to shoes, you then put on your left. Now how do you tie them though? You would think, do you start from the right again?
No, you tie the
No,
left first.
you tie in the left, and then you tie the right. Why do you start with the right shoe? Why do you start with the right shoe?
Because God said so.
Whoa.
Now I wouldn't want to meet him like that in the middle of the night outside. You'd scare me. So, I didn't hear. Why do you start with the right shoe?
Those might be-
According to Torah, the right hand symbolizes mercy or something.
Yes, here, take it.
Does that sound like it's from the Torah?
Always being
Right
to the
hand
mitzvah.
works more, so you honor the right side.
No, let's first deal with Simcha.
Okay.
That comes straight out of the Kabbalah.
Oh, it is?
So so it's good, but it's Kabbalistic.
Also Kabbalistic.
Well, right now we're still in the Shulchan Aruch.
Okay.
I'm not saying you're wrong. There must be a reason connected to that also. And there is a reason we do things with our right hand, because it does connect to chesed, to kindness. But when it comes to that one might be, we just took that one out. I don't know where this one's from. When it comes to Torah understanding, so a person actually starts with the right, because the right is more important. For the reason that right is the stronger hand, right? We're going to see really though why right is important. It's none of the reasons I mentioned. Why do we tie with our... So then if that's true, we should start tying which shoe first?
You're right.
The right shoe. So why do you start tying with the left shoe?
Out of respect.
Time to fill.
Oh, the first person I've ever asked the question to, they knew the answer. Everyone else says, because you're already on the left shoe, so you start there, then you go back to the right shoe. Like your feet are so far apart. So we're going to see inside. Hold on one second, we're going to see this reason inside. What?
What was yours?
We're going to see it. He spoiled us.
Oh.
I didn't think anybody would get the answer. So, Kollel Kavod, Moshe Chaim. So, let's see what the Rabbi has to say. Haga, note. Uvi minalayim shalanu, in our shoes. Who is it? Where is he talking about?
Oh, okay.
Uvi minalayim shalanu, in our shoes. Who's us? Our. Ashkenazim. Tell me what kind of shoes the Sephardim wore.
Sandals.
Sandals. So there was such a thing of first putting it on and then tying it. What kind of shoes does Ashkenazim wear?
Big boots or
Boots or shoes that you slip on, slippers, things like that. They were cold where they came from. They didn't wear sandals in the middle of Russia. That wasn't how they did things. Or in the middle of Poland or Hungary. That wasn't how they dressed. Says the Ramah, "V'minalayim shalanu," in our shoes, she'en bahem kshira, that they don't get tied. We don't tie our shoes. We don't have shoelaces. Yino shel yamin tchila. You still put on the right one first. Meaning you don't change around the order. What would be the reason that you would think you should change around the order? I mean, the Ramah is pretty obvious. Of course you put on the right shoe first. Why would you think to change around the order?
because maybe the act of tying was more important. That's you start with the left foot tying. And
But there are no shoelaces here.
Yeah.
So why would you start with the left? You're on to something.
Right. Well, he's clarifying that you don't.
He's saying you should start with the left, but why would I think? Why does there? To who?
To your feet. Well, it's just to keep you thinking that you should respect things.
The right. So I agree with the Ramah. The Ramah is stating the obvious. The Shulchan Aruch just said you first put on your right shoe, then you put on your left shoe, and then you tie your left shoe, and then your right shoe. The Ramah is saying our shoes don't have laces, and even so, you should still put on the right shoe first, and then the left shoe. That's not such a big deal. It's not such a chidush. I mean, it's not such a novel insight. At the end of the day, really, if you think about it, Maran said, put on your right shoe first and your left shoe. What if you don't have shoelaces? Okay, so don't do the second part. Why is what the Ramah is saying such a novel idea?
He's just clarifying how people, the customs that he sees in Europe.
What if you change the order? It's confusing.
Actually, regularly, people put left shoe first. That's what I did before.
You used to put on your left shoe first?
Yeah, because you take it with the right hand. So with the right hand, it's easier to put on the left leg, or the left foot.
Interesting. Interesting. That's interesting. Okay.
You're doing what is easier first.
So you're saying what the Ramah is saying is, even though it's easier to slip them on that way, you still start with the right. I would agree with you. I'm trying to push it for a reason, so our heads are. That you first have to assume that you're right. Let's assume you're right. So what? We're still talking here about halachot. Halakha says to start with the right foot. So why would I break halakha because it's easier for me? And there must be something else that would go through a person's mind. Maybe I'll walk you through this. What does Maran say? Maran says you should put on your shoe, right shoe first,
And don't tie it.
and don't tie it. Maybe, this is my thought. I didn't see this anywhere. Maybe you would think that because your shoe doesn't need laces, that the act of putting on your shoe that doesn't need laces, your slip-on shoe.
Is equivalent to putting it on and tying.
Oh, very nice. It's equivalent to putting it on and tying it. And it could be that that's considered the reason, very nice, that's the reason why you would start with your left shoe. That way you wouldn't be tying your right shoe first. Because with shoes that are not tied, so technically once you put it in, you already tied it. But in Maran's shoes that had laces or his sandals, you put your foot in, you didn't really do anything yet. So maybe you would think you should start with your left shoe, because that's tying. Says the Rama, even in those, we start with our right foot. Make a little bit more sense now why the Rama would... I don't have another answer to this question. Itai, you doing Tachnun?
No.
No, it's nighttime. And you're Sephardic, so you don't put your head down. Oh, okay.
This is 9:45.
A little bit.
So, welcome. So, this is the only answer that I could come up with that answers our question. If you come up with something else in your Chavruta time, I would love to hear it. But that's what I could come up with for the Rama. Okay, let's keep going back to the Halacha Bura. Page 26, Halacha Vav. Kshenoel na'alaim, when a person shoes his shoes, puts on his shoes. Yinal, he should put on na'al yamin tchila, his right shoe first. Just repeating what we said. V'lo yiksharenan, he should not tie it. V'achakach, and afterwards, yinal na'al small, he should put on his left shoe, v'iksharenan, and tie it. V'yachzor, and then he should go back, v'ikshor, and he should tie na'al yamin, his right shoe. This is exactly what Maran said. He's paraphrasing Maran word for word. Now he's adding something. V'atam lekach, and the reason for this, hu mipnei shematzinu b'Torah, it is because we have found in the Torah, mipnei, because shematzinu, we have found b'Torah, in the Torah, shehayamin, that the right is chashuv yoter, more important. More important. Linyan haza'a ala bohan hayad v'haregel. When it comes to the sprinkling that they would do on the thumb and the foot, shetzarich la'azot al shel yamin. You do it on the right side because the right side is more important. You can look up Shmot and Vayikra that are sourced here, and they mention this act of starting with the right. So if that's true that the right is first, and we see this all over Judaism, we put on our right there, our right this, and everything. So we start with the right. We wash our right hand first. Every time we wash our hands, right comes first, then comes left. Yeah, you know that? Yeah. You lift, but when you lift up the cup, so if you're going to pour water in your right hand, which hand should you lift up the cup with? Left, right? No, say the poskim, not like that. You lift it up with the right hand, you hand it to the left hand, and the left hand pours it on the right hand. But you start with the right. Always start everything you do with the right. What no? Oh. You hear? You hear? First off, when it comes to tefillin, what hand are you putting your tefillin on with?
You're right.
Using your right.
You're using your right hand. You're putting it on with the right hand.
Yeah.
It's your left hand.
So you're doing actual mitzvah with the right hand. Right.
The left hand is the passive, and the right hand is the active hand. But anyone who thinks logically, you could do that with everything. So even the things you start with the left, you're really starting with the right because it's the only other option you have. You understand? But let's pretend for a moment that doesn't exist. Okay? Let's keep going. So then why don't I tie my shoe on the right side first, if that's true? If it's true the right is more important, I should tie my right shoe first? Says Harav Moshe Chaim. Umikol makom, in any case, kevan, because shematzinu, we have found a precedent of kshira, of tying bismol in the left. We find one place that has to do with tying, and we tie on the left. What is he talking about? Tefillin. Tefillin. B'mitzvat tefillin shel yad. This is the mitzvah of the hand tefillin. Lachen, therefore, yesh likshor na'al smol tchila. We therefore tie our left shoe first. The source for all of this is from the Talmud of Masechet Shabbat, 61a.
So which word is for left?
Small. Small is left, tchila is first. The second to last word in the paragraph. Yep. So the reason you start with the right, tell me.
It's the one that's straight.
More important. What's the reason you start with the left tying?
That's what we tie first in the
But
tefillin.
because the first time we find tying is tefillin, and that we do on our left. Okay, let's keep going.
So if you're left-handed, then
What if you are left-handed? This is a good question. It's a good question. Most things don't change when you're left-handed. Most things don't change, except for things like tefillin. Tefillin, there's a dispute. What hand do they put tefillin on? Most people say a lefty puts on tefillin on his right hand. It seems to be the majority of poskim like that. Some poskim say he has to put it still on his left hand because that's the hand that everyone else puts tefillin on.
What about being near the heart? Even if you like
So that's part of the reason for this opinion. It's a good point. But even here, it's pointing towards the heart. It's not... Okay. And the Ben Ish Chai comes with a compromise. Word on both hands. Word on both hands. He brings such an opinion that according to the Kabbalists, a person should wear tefillin on both hands. Once on his right, once on his left.
so you put like Rashi on one and Rabbeinu Tam on the other.
No, Rabbeinu Tam, you don't get a mitzvah for wearing. So it has to be Rashi tefillin. It has to be Rashi tefillin. Some would say you would wear it at the same time. Some would say you can't wear it at the same time. One after the other. So if you,
Torah says on the hand, not on the hands.
which is why you do one after the other. On the hand, on the hand, on the hand says the Ben Ish Chai, some say here, some say here. Why do I want to decide who's right? I'd rather make both people happy. So when I put on tefillin, I'll put it on both hands. One is here and one's there. It sounds funny to you?
Yeah. Same with mezuzah.
No.
You can put it on both sides.
So you need
You guys think this is funny, but I'm telling you that the majority of modern halacha works like this.
Not Korea.
Not our halachot, those of us who follow the Shulchan Aruch. And not all Sephardim are so loyal to the Shulchan Aruch. It's a fallacy that Sephardim always follow Shulchan Aruch and Ashkenazim always don't. Sometimes you find Sephardim who get dragged on to do other things. Then you find some Ashkenazim who follow Shulchan Aruch. Someone who... Let me try to give you an example. Oh, classic example. Look at the mezuzah on the door. The mezuzah on the door is going in which direction?
That's where you're coming into the room.
Oh no, not the side of the door. It usually goes tilted, right?
I thought Sephardim was straight.
Sephardim are straight up. Always. Always. When the Torah says that you should put a mezuzah on your door, the Torah doesn't tell you in which direction. And therefore some rabbis are of the opinion that a mezuzah goes straight up. Some rabbis are of the opinion that the mezuzah goes sideways.
Horizontal?
Absolutely.
Have you ever seen that?
No, we don't do that. So Sfaradim follow the majority opinion that says mezuzot go like this. Why? Maran Shulchan Aruch says mezuzah goes like that. Zeo, it's not so complicated. Ashkenazim, in the natural style of Ashkenazim, is they want to make both opinions happy.
That's why it's on ankle.
So I'm not making this up. This is, you look it up in the poskim. You'll Google it. If you look online, no, they put the mezuzah tilted, not too much, but a little bit tilted. That way, it makes both opinions happy. Along comes me, the chutzpahdik person, and I say, does it really make both opinions happy? Oh, very nice. It makes neither opinion happy, because now the one who wants it like this is, what are you doing down there? And the one who wants it like this is, what are you doing up there? So really, the mezuzah should go like this. The Vilna Gaon, in his commentary on the Shulchan Aruch, says, I don't understand how people follow this custom of putting the mezuzah sideways. He says, his students, to this day, still put their mezuzah straight. This custom of tilting the mezuzah is an interesting... So I'll tell you the story. When it came time... No, all Ashkenazim. All Ashkenazim. Even Sfaradim today do it. Tilt it. Yeah. It's pretty standard to see a mezuzah tilted. You almost never see it straight up. Yeah, right? This is the...
Students of...
The Litvaks pretend that they're students of the Vilna Gaon. The Vilna Gaon and the Litvaks are not exactly the same thing.
Oh, I thought it's straight line.
So I have a question about the side that it goes on.
Oh.
Because going one way, it's on your right or your left. and you go out the door, and it's on the opposite side. So which is out and which is in?
Going to the house.
So if it's vertical, there is no question.
We have a solution.
No.
He's talking about which
it's on
side of the
what
door.
side? On what
I have a solution. Put it on top.
So,
I'm just kidding. Don't, nobody, for the record, nobody should put mezuzah on top of the door, okay?
no,
Please.
No one took it that way either.
Oh, okay.
But what side should it go on?
From my understanding of the halachot, and I know there are customs, specifically Lubavitch customs, that are different than this, but my understanding of the halacha, I'm willing to be convinced otherwise. You always follow the way that is entering a more important room to the least important room. Whenever you're going from the least important room to the more important room, it goes to the right. For example,
Outside to the front door.
this hallway to this shul, which is more important, the hallway or the shul?
Shul,
Shul. So which side do you put the mezuzah on?
the right.
The right.
But
When
the
you
right
come.
door's never open. You have to go in through the left and come around and kiss the mezuzah. The right door, it doesn't open when you come.
No, not downstairs. Here, I'm talking about this door right here.
Okay,
Right here, you're coming from the hallway into the shul. So you're right, you go both ways.
yeah,
So this room is more important than the hallway.
okay.
And therefore the mezuzah goes on the right side of the way you come into the more important room.
So that's the principle.
That's how I understand the halachot. Chabad has some opinion about the way the door opens, which is it's their own understanding of halacha. But that's what they do. The Rabbi felt that's what you should do.
So in general, when you're coming from the outside through the front door into a house, the outside is the least important and the front door of the house is the most important,
Yes.
therefore it's on the right.
Right.
But when you walk out, it's on the left.
Right.
Okay,
I mean, you always are going to have it
yeah.
on one side, so it's going to be the left somehow as you go. Yeah?
Okay.
It's a good question. So, what I'm trying to show you right now is that deciding not to decide and trying to make both opinions happy generally doesn't make either opinion happy. What it does is it makes nobody happy or it makes you not happy. Very often you'll find halachot, it's better not to do it. But the Gemara says it's okay to do it. The Rambam says it's okay to do it. And Rabbi Yosef Karo says it's okay to do it. So why should I not do it? I brought in my book. People are worried. They're worried. What about the other opinion? What about the other opinion? How much can you worry about excessive opinions? There's a rule that rabbis gave us, majority and minority. You follow the majority. They didn't know that you should worry about the minority opinion? If there was such a thing. For example, Tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam. I'm opening up a can of worms. It's mentioned in the Shulchan Aruch that you should wear Tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam after you wear Tefillin of Rashi, if you are a chassid, a righteous person. And one who wears Tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam and is not a righteous person, righteous meaning it's not like keeps Torah mitzvah, righteous like
Chassid is actually more than righteous.
right. I'm using the pious. What's the difference between a pious and a righteous person? Again, you have to ask King James. I use the word chassid. I translate it however they do it on the street. You're right. It's even more than that. Maran says that one who wears tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam but is not a chassid is guilty of the offense of yuhara, showing off at how holy he is when he's really not. The Mishnah Berurah has a story that somebody in Europe was wearing tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam, and he wasn't known to be an extra special chassid, and the rabbi of the town excommunicated him until he stopped wearing them. Not everybody has the right to wear tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam.
You don't do that
Unfortunately.
anymore. Anybody yet.
Unfortunately. We wouldn't have anybody to count as a minion. I'll tell you why. The Jewish people agree that for 2,000 years, 3,000 years, whenever we start wearing tefillin, we always wore tefillin like Rashi. Rashi didn't make up his own way of tefillin. He's just the one who explains that tefillin are supposed to be in a certain order, and we followed that way forever and ever and ever. Rabbeinu Tam came along and said, maybe tefillin go in the other direction. Maybe there's a different order of the tefillin. There are 4 parshas inside. Maybe they go in a different order. That's great. So now somebody wants to worry about that opinion, but to add an extra mitzvah now to the Torah, you have to be somebody very big. You have to be somebody who in everything that you do, you're adding extra. If not, then what does it show about you? Why are you adding this extra? Pride. You're trying to show off. You're trying to show off. Yuhara is an offense in the Talmud. Someone who shows off in front of Talmidei Chachamim is considered an offender. So famous the Chabad minhag is that when kids turn bar mitzvah, they wear Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. And they asked the Lubavitch Rebbe, how could it be? Don't you know the Shulchan Aruch? And he said, today, already everybody's wearing tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam. And they know that a kid who's 13 and keeps Torah mitzvot, he's already important enough to wear tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam. I'm not one to argue with the Lubavitch Rebbe easily. The other poskim's understanding of this halakha is not the same way. Not everybody has the right to wear tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam. The most lenient Sephardim say after you get married, you can wear tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam. In Morocco, you could not find one pair of tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam. Nobody wore Rabbeinu Tam. Not the chief rabbis, not the Mekubalim. Nobody wore tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam.
What's the difference?
It's a different order inside. You know, you could write
How do you know?
Parsha 1, 2, 3, or 4.
You're talking about showing off. How will people know?
Because they see you wearing 2 pairs of tefillin. You're in the middle of tefillah, you're changing your tefillin.
Two pairs?
Yeah, so there's 2 ways to do it. The Chabad custom, as well as Rabbi Vadia Yosef's custom, is to wear 1 tefillin. Then in the middle of tefillah, after you finish Shemon Esrei, sometime in Ashrei or Vadatzion or something, they switch tefillin. They switch tefillin.
You normally,
Yeah.
after you finish down everything.
Everything?
start.
Then you start. Okay.
Sometimes because
People don't have time.
you don't have time.
The Kabbalists who follow the Ben Ish Chai wear both of them at the same time.
Oh,
And one in each hand?
No.
one
They have tiny tefillin. Rabbi Busu, who was here, the grandson of the Baba Sadia, was here, did this. The Ben Ish Chai used to do this. They have tiny tefillin. I can't tell you tiny. Imagine a matchbox,
Yeah.
slice it in half. Small. Yeah. No, like this. No, even smaller.
No wonder it's the size of mine.
Even smaller.
It's not
They
black,
have
though.
2 of those. They just painted black, right?
Yeah, it's
Rashi and
they're
Tosfot.
not half big. Developed.
So what happens with these tefillin? They wear them either side by side, or one in front of the other. And also on their hand, they tie the Rabbeinu Tam underneath the Rashi tefillin. This is the original way to wear Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. Only later did people stop wearing them together, and that's where the Chabad and Rabbi Vadia Yosef's custom come from. The Kabbalists wore them together always. So what is someone trying to do? Well, they're trying to appease a second opinion of tefillin. Are you done with the first opinion? They have to start with the second opinion? If you do the math, the Vilna Gaon says, I think it's a Vilna Gaon, there are really so many different ways that, if you have 4 here and 4 here, what are the possible, there's a word.
16 combinations.
You have 16 possible combinations. So maybe you should wear 16 pairs of tefillin. Why did you choose this one? There are actually 4. The Frierdiker Rebbe, the 6th Lubavitch Rebbe, I don't know about the last Lubavitch Rebbe, he wore 4 pairs of tefillin. 4 pairs of tefillin.
The last one also.
Also?
Public.
Privately, okay. No. So, there's a limit to how far I'm willing to let people add opinions. It just gets excessive, and excessive opinions are not good for people. Unless you're the kind of person who your whole life, you do things that are in excess of the halachot. Okay, I think I've spoken too much about this. With your permission, can we just finish page 27 so we can get something done a little bit more? Yeah? Vim nizdamen lo, and if it comes to his hand, nal shel small, the left shoe tchila first. Maybe you guys want to write this. Yamin is right and small is left. Right at the top of your page. That way, whenever you see the word, you'll remember which one's which. What happens if you're putting on your shoes and you're like Moshe Chaim and your right hand naturally finds the left shoe? That's where it gravitates towards. So now you're holding the left shoe. Normally, you don't pass over things in Judaism, and some people would say, oh, maybe you should put your left shoe on first. Says of David Yosef, Ra'ui, it's preferable shiamtin, that he should wait ad she'aviu lo na'al yamin, until they bring him his right shoe. What does this mean? Let's say the servant that dresses you up in the morning. You know that one? Yeah? Your servant who dresses you up in the morning.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Right.
So when your servant dresses you up in the morning, they don't know the difference between a right shoe and a left shoe. They bring you your left shoe. So should you just put it on and then wait for them to be the right shoe? Says Rabbi said no. You should wait until they bring you your right shoe, and then put on your right shoe. What if you can't find, let's say, you know, those people, ever see those people in the morning? I used to have roommates like that. They wake up in the morning, I don't know how their pants got underneath someone else's bed, and their shoes, or one shoe's in the closet, one shoe's in the hallway. You know, these people, they're scattered all over the place. So, what?
Too much drinking.
Too much drinking. That's not why. Not in my yeshiva. Yep. So, their left shoe, they found it, but they can't find the right shoe. So, should they put on the left shoe until they find the right shoe? The answer is no. You should wait until you get the right shoe.
You can't walk out.
You'd be surprised what people are willing to walk out with.
You don't have to walk out with a shoe.
I had a friend who never sorted his socks after he did laundry. And some days he'd be wearing a white sock with a black sock, a purple sock with a green sock, whatever. You know, like it looked like a clown in the circus, but it's okay. Everyone has their own style of dress.
Riley puts the right sock on.
V'hu adin.
Again.
What?
Yeah. Right. Different colors, one pair. Another pair also is different colors.
People dress funny outside. There are people, you see them even different shoes. And I look at people. Sometimes people they themselves don't realize how they're dressed. V'hu adin b'chol zeh. This is the rule with all of these things. Whether k'sheno'eh na'alayim shel bad, whether you're wearing na'alayim, shoes of bad. Bad is cloth.
Bad is cloth.
Yeah. Like out of material. Shoes are made out of material. O shel gumi, or shoes made out of rubber. O shel shaar minim, or any other material. Shetzarich la'akdim, you have to put on first nilat na'al yamin, the right shoe. U'la'akdim kshirat na'al smol, and then only put on the left shoe. Meaning, Maran is not only talking about leather shoes, talking about rubber shoes, talking about wood shoes, talking about canvas shoes, whatever shoes you wear, the right one goes on first, the left goes on second, and the order of tying is the same way. V'hanoel na'alayim, someone who puts on shoes, she'en bahen srochim. What are srochim? That do not have, guess.
Shoelaces.
Shoelaces, very nice. You remember Avram Avinu in the Briut says, I don't want even a sroch na'al. Even a?
What?
Avram Avinu comes back from war, they want to give him something, what does he say? I don't even want chumash. I don't even want a shoelace.
I don't even want a shoelace.
I don't even want anything. I don't want the most simple thing I don't want you to give me. I don't need gifts from you. Yeah? So that's the same word, sroch. Here, srochim, plural. Someone who's wearing shoes without laces, yinal nal yamin tchila, you first put on your right shoe. V'hanoel na'alayim, someone who puts on shoes, she'en lehem srochim, that do not have laces, aval yesh lehen retzuot, but they have retzuot, they have straps. Give me an example, what is a strap? Sandals. I'm thinking like a Velcro strap, or even shoes. Shoes that have Velcro. Some people have shoes that they have a lace. It's a Velcro strap. It goes over. Yakdim gam ken likshor retzuot shel na'al smol tchila. The same rules apply to tying the left shoe first. Meaning those straps are considered the laces of the shoe. But im yesh lehen sgira acheret, if they have a different way to be closed. Give me an example. How else could you close shoes?
Zipper, button.
Who said zipper?
What, zipper?
Barry said zipper, right? Kagon, for example, ayidei rochsan. Rochsan is the Hebrew word for zipper. Although in Hebrew nobody says rochsan, everyone says richrach. Why richrach? That's the sound a zipper makes when it opens and closes.
What does it go? Rich rush?
They hear a richrach. I don't know, they made it up. That's me.
That's a word?
Sure.
It's a word in Hebrew?
What's the word for bottle in Hebrew?
It's in modern Hebrew.
What?
For bottle?
Yeah.
Bottle. I don't know what is this.
Where's the tie? Oh, okay. The word for bottle in Hebrew?
What?
Avam. You don't know? Bakbuk. Bakbuk. Oh, that's why. Because when you drink, it goes bak, 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 bak. Yeah. That's why they call it a bakbuk.
Wow.
It's a very phonetic language.
But it's kind of slang, right?
No, it's a real word. It's a real word. Richarach might be slang, but bakbuk is a real word. It's brought down in the books.
Do they call a car a zoom? I know. Auto.
It's like the English word cockle-doodle-doo. You know, in Hebrew, you know, the Israelis, they have a different accent than the chickens. The chickens in Israel, they say kukuriku. And it's true, if you ever hear an Israeli chicken, he says kukuriku. Yeah? Kukuriku.
Russian.
Yeah, same thing. No, so Russians and the Israeli chicken, they speak the same language.
From Russian. Rooster to Hebrew rooster.
You know, the Americans have a little bit of an accent. They go cockle-doodle-doo. That's their... Okay. Purim now. This was the last day of Adar. Now we're back into Nisan. Baruch Hashem. Someone's wearing a zipper. Is there anything else like this? Ein tzarich lagdim. It doesn't have to put on first, to tie first. Let's go now. It's Kehillat. He doesn't have to tie first his left shoe. So if you have any other way of tying it without straps or laces, you don't need to start with the left shoe first. Tying only means tying, not closing. When the Shulchan Aruch says you have to tie your left shoe first, it means tying specifically.
So because the tefillin don't have zippers.
Right. That's what the bottom says. Very good. It says tefillin tying is actually with straps, but the tefillin doesn't have zippers. I see he's getting good at his Rashi script. Yeah?
So this Kehillah and this Kehillah and Kehillah. Yeah.
Kehillah means first. Kehillah is a girl's name, or it means a praise, a prayer.
Praiseworthy.
All right, we have two more. Oh, who asked the question about the lefty?
I did.
You did, Barry. Okay, so the answer to the question is right here. V'af mishu iter yad yamin. Even if someone is opposite-handed, here meaning left-handed. Iter means opposite, yad yamin, of the other hand, of the right hand. And he's a lefty. Umeniach tefillin al yad yamin, and he even puts on his tefillin on his right hand. Very nice. Even he should yikshor nad smol tchila. He should tie his left shoe first. Why would you think he should tie his right shoe first?
Because he puts his tefillin on.
Very nice, because he puts his tefillin on his right hand.
Yeah.
So maybe he should also tie his right shoelaces first?
Supposed to put left shoe first, and then right.
No, that's... Oh, also, okay, so why not change the whole?
Right and tie left.
So he says, no, yikshor nad smol tchila, he should tie his left shoe first, Shaar kol adam, like everybody else. Aval, im hu iter regel, if someone is left-footed, I guess there are people who are left-footed. They do things with their left foot as opposed to their right foot.
What is that?
They're like play
They kick the
soccer.
soccer ball with their left foot. They kick other people with their left foot. They hop on their left foot. Things they do on their left foot. They do things more with their left foot than their right foot.
And I start the ladder with the left.
Well, I mean, soccer's about the only context I can think of where that would be true.
Let's think. What else?
Football.
Wrestler, a kick wrestler.
When someone's skateboarding, what shoes? What I don't skateboard. What leg is on the skateboard? And what's
Oh
on,
yeah, there's two ways to ride. You can ride.
You can either ride with your left foot on the board. A scooter is the same way. I mean, there are a number of things that a person does either with their right foot or with their left foot.
I never thought of it.
So if somebody is left-footed, we've come up with a new term. The kol sheken, and how much more so, im hu iter yad veregel, he's both left-handed and left-footed, yikshor na'al yamin tchila, he should tie his right shoe first. If you would like. You can look at the footnote 7, Zayin. In the Birur Halacha, he spends a whole page on it, proving this point. I don't know how often this case comes up. Va'af isha, even a lady, hanu'elet na'alayim, who puts on shoes. What could you say by a lady? Because she doesn't
Put on tefillin.
put on tefillin, so then it doesn't make a difference which side she starts with, right? Va'af isha hanu'elet na'alayim.
He has to follow husband's ideas.
What?
Husband put it different. It's good for the husband.
So specifically to her husband, one of her husband's a lefty? I don't think so. It's not that bad. It's not like rice on Pesach, you know. Tinal, she should tie, she should put on, Na'al yamin tchila, her right shoe first. V'gam l'inyan kshira, and also in regards to tying, tov yoter, it's better shetakdim, that she should tie first, likshor na'al samot, to tie the left shoe first. It's better she should tie the left shoe first, even though she doesn't wear tefillin. What else? Who else doesn't wear tefillin but will eventually wear tefillin? Kids.
Young boys.
Kids, right? A young boy will eventually wear tefillin, so maybe while he's young, he doesn't have to start with his right and then left and then right. Maybe he just has to tie whatever shoe he wants first. Says Cham David, V'hu adin, this is also the halacha b'chol zeh regarding all of this, lekatan shelo higia lemitzvot. To a young boy who did not yet reach the age of mitzvot, that he also does whatever people do, which is right shoe first, left shoe first, tie the left shoe first, then tie the right shoe.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because he's learning.
Right, I mean, but there's room that some nitpicky person can come along, a lady, she doesn't wear tefillin, the reason she doesn't wear tefillin, you know there are Jews like this, they Jews, if you can let them jump through hoops, they will jump through as many hoops as you give them. And says Cham David, we don't play these games. The rule is, right shoe first, left shoe, right shoe, unless it's severe, that for that person, they don't actually use their right hand, or they're always using their left leg, their left foot, their left everything, so that person should then do these things with the left first. One more halakha. We're just going to do Maran. We'll leave the halakha for next time. Keshecholetz, when a person removes. Hey, you see hey in Maran? Keshecholetz, when a person removes min alav, his shoes. Choletz should small tchila, you should take off your left shoe first. When you take off your shoes, you reverse the order. You know what? Let's entertain ourselves. Come. 2 more halachot. You have koch. Wind off with a bang. That way we won't have to deal with shoes next time. Keshecholetz na'alav, says Chacham David on page 28. Keshecholetz na'alav, when a person takes off his shoes, choletz, he takes off na'al small, his left shoe, tchila, first. Sha'af bazeh, even with this, hu noten kavod leyamin. He's giving respect to the right. Tell me, how is he giving respect to the right?
By taking it off last.
By taking it off last. Yeah? He's respecting the right by taking it off last and first taking off his left shoe.
You can make an argument either way, and whatever way you want to fit it in.
Because you're giving the right shoe the honor
You
of
could
coming
say
off.
You're giving it special attention to the left shoe because you're taking it off first. I mean, okay. So, okay.
That's right.
I hear? Shulchan Aruch ended up deciding that taking it off first is considered disgraceful to it, because the shoe clearly wants to be used more. So,
I get the left side.
So, but we're honoring not shoes, we're honoring legs, foot.
Yeah,
Right.
it's the right side.
oh, Moshe Chaim bring up a good point. If it's regarding the shoes, then maybe the shoe does. Here we're talking about the leg. We're talking about the leg gets covered first. The leg gets to be covered for longer. Maybe if you're wearing high heels, you could say that this is already.
Nowadays,
Someone asked me this week, is it sneut to wear high heels? I said no.
For men?
For men, of course not.
Oh, please.
For a lady, listen, I can't tell other people's wives what to do. If they were to ask me, first off, it's not healthy. It's not good. Doesn't do anything good for your body. But mitzad sniut, I don't think it's our way of dressing. My opinion. Says Chacham David, V'yatir tchila, and you should untie first which laces?
Left.
Right.
Haksharim min al yamin, the right side. Untie the right shoe first. Yes. V'achar kach yatir haksharim min al small, and then you should untie on your left shoe.
So wait, you untie the right shoe first, then you untie the left shoe, then you take off your left shoe, and then you take off your right shoe.
Yes.
All in the reverse order.
In the reverse order.
Uh-huh.
Chavre, get shoes with no laces.
After this, I think I will.
They're based off of a Gemara in Shabbat that we mentioned.
So who first, mentioned
The Gemara.
way of wearing?
The Gemara. The details of how to take them off, the details of what do you do if someone's a lefty, the details of a lady, of a child, those details were left up to the poskim afterwards. But the Gemara was the one who initiated this idea of right shoe, left shoe, which one put on, which one do you tie first.
There's a really good military story about this.
Right.
You know,
The guy who got punished, he
Yeah.
was taking too much time, he went back to put on his shoes in the right order, and they didn't let him on the helicopter. That was the famous helicopter incident in Israel,
Yeah.
where the helicopters, I don't know, I didn't meet the guy in the story, so a lot of Jewish stories, I get skeptic about them.
Fishy, yeah.
Like, it's a nice story, I'm not disagreeing.
This may be real.
It could be real, it could also not be. Okay,
So is it okay, for example, for Rabbi to create a story?
no,
This story brings a lot of people to tshuva.
it's a beautiful question. Does the end justify the means? Generally in halakha, no. You don't do an avera in order to do a mitzvah. You don't steal someone's tefillin because you need to wear them. You don't. There's a long list of things we don't do just because the end might be good. A lady's feeling depressed. Maybe if you give her a hug, she'll feel better and become religious. Good for you. So she'll be depressed. You don't give her a hug and make her feel better.
All the ladies.
What?
You don't ask all the ladies.
Right, that's what we're talking about. And there are a lot of stories where
Make you feel better.
a person, Shem Shmuel, a person has to weigh everything properly. Someone was caught in Israel, a rabbi, who was telling a story by somebody in the army, a story, a true story, it happened, I know the person. It was an amazing story. And someone in the audience stood up, said, yeah, I was in that unit in the army. What was her name?
It's Kehillah.
He made it up. And not only was the inspiration of the story lost, but everything the rabbi said in the class lost credibility. And he came to complain to my rabbi how they started a campaign against him. And my rabbi wouldn't speak to him. My rabbi said the Torah is so true and so beautiful, it doesn't need your lies. The Torah didn't ask you to lie for it. You want to tell the truth? Tell the truth. You want to lie? Do it for somebody else. The Torah doesn't want your lies. So is it okay? Not where I come from. Are there people who do it? Unfortunately. Whenever I tell a story, if I know where the story comes from, I almost always say where I saw the story. If I don't know where the story comes from, I'll normally do some kind of disclaimer before I tell the story. I heard, or they say, or something along those lines, so I'm not saying something that is a sheker. There's a question about exaggerated stories. Let's say someone tells a story about a big tzaddik. Yeah, this big tzaddik did X and Y and Z. Let's say you're not exactly sure about the stories, the details. The story may be true, but the details in the story, could you tell such a story? I saw that Rabbi Yashiv wrote yes. Rabbi Yashiv said that so long as it's possible that this tzaddik did do such a thing or could have done such a thing, even though it doesn't seem likely, if it's possible that he could have, then you could still tell the story. But the moment that it becomes something that's just not believable, then you don't need to tell that story. A novel. Is a novel really a lie? Is it not true?
No, but people know that this is the number.
Very nice.
Right, yeah.
What's,
To illustrate something.
what's important about the laws of falsehood are that what the person who's reading it understands. If the person who's reading it thinks it's a true story, then it's a problem. If the person reading it knows it's a novel, it's not a lie. It's not a lie. What it does for you is a different story, but it's not a lie. It's a good question, very good question. I struggled that for a long time until I came to that conclusion. So I want to tell you something. I was going to tell you about Paro. Anyone know how tall Moshe Rabbeinu was?
I was just going to say that Midrash that says what Pharaoh was 1/8, or I don't know what.
Moshe Rabbeinu was 10 amot tall.
Yeah.
And that is
10 amot, every amma is 18 inches. Do the math, he's exactly
180
15
inches.
15 feet tall.
yeah.
Moshe was 15 feet tall. He was Jewish, remember? 15 feet tall. But he was Egyptian, could be. Paro, on the other hand, says the Midrash, was how tall?
3 amma? Or
1 amma.
18 inches.
Yeah, so
Quite a little Midrash.
here we have David and Goliath.
This is more than that. I mean, Moshe Rabbeinu didn't even have to argue with him. He could have just stepped on him. Stepped on him and let my people go. Not he kicked him like a soccer ball. Yeah, the story would have been over. So what does it mean? Paro is, so the kids say, oh, Paro is this tiny, he's so cute, right? We can put him in our backpack. Yeah. And so, I'm not mocking the Midrash. What happens is, says the Rambam in his introduction to the Midrash, says people who read the Midrash simply are mocking our rabbis.
Yeah.
So it's not that we're mocking the Midrash. The people who read the Midrash are mocking the Midrash by thinking that it's so simple-minded. This is when you're talking about height. Height is directly connected to spiritual stature. When Shaul HaMelech was chosen to be king, how did they choose him?
He was
tall.
He was
taller
tall.
than everybody.
Taller than everybody. Really, he was taller than everybody?
No.
Could be not. But the real understanding of what does it mean taller than everybody is that he was one head above everybody else. Shaul HaMelech was not a simple person. People make him out like he was a bad person. Shaul HaMelech puts all of the tzaddikim you've heard of, all of them, in his back pocket. On his back pocket. Shaul HaMelech was a big person. When you say about Moshe Rabbeinu was 10 amas tall, 10 is a big number in Judaism. He was not 15 feet tall. If not, he wouldn't be able to walk into the Mishkan. Like, you have to think about some of these things. Rather, when the Midrash tells you that Moshe was 10 amot tall, that's how big of a giant he was in spirituality. Nobody else was 10 amot tall. Paro, you know how important he was? This guy thought he was God. This was the leader of Egypt. You might start to tell me, oh, he was such an important man. He really was an honorable man. He just made a mistake. Says the Midrash, don't play games with me. Paro was exactly 1 amah tall. His spiritual stature was about that of a ruler and a half. 18 inches. That's his spiritual stature. Zil. He had nothing more to him than that. Nothing more to him than that. And when a person reads a Midrash properly, deep things come out of Midrash. When a person reads a Midrash like a child, it's dangerous. And those Midrashim stick.
So if the Midrash says that Rachel was 3 years old, That's also like Rivka.
Racham is Yeshua's wife. Rivka was under bat mitzvah age, but not 3. Could be 3. Could not be 3. My rabbi said his estimate is about 11 or 12. Which is not so weird to get married to 11 or 12 in those days. 3 years old, also not so strange, but not one of our mothers, and not somebody...
No, they were before that 3.
There were countries where people got engaged at 3. It's not a crazy thing.
We're talking not about engagement. We're talking about marriage.
How do you know?
Because they went back to Avram's house right away, right?
No. Takes time.
So even they went back to his house. So, let me tell you what they did in Avram's house.
Her to his mother's.
I'm aware. I know what the Psukim say. I'm not saying here that don't ever take Midrash, don't understand the Midrash. When it comes to the Midrash, we want to give the proper respect to the Midrash, not take away from the Midrash. Something like this, by the way, it's only because of our heads that we struggle with it. There are countries where it's normal for a girl to get married at 3. I'm not saying it's a good thing, not the way they do it and not how they do it. But in our head, we've programmed ourselves that people who are 50 shouldn't get married yet. So obviously someone who's 3, someone who's 12, it's crazy. Because a 12-year-old in this country is about as responsible as a baby in another country. An 18-year-old in this country is about as mature as a 6-year-old in a different country. You meet people in the business world, they're 30s, then they act like little children. You can't trust them with themselves. So it all depends where you come from and what you're speaking about. The Midrash is illustrating that she was young. 3? I don't know. It calls her a Ne'ara. Ne'ara means under bat mitzvah.
Maybe she was as poor as a 3-year-old.
Okay, I'd have to look at the commentaries there in the Midrashim. I don't want to say anything not true. Listen, Avram Avinu was 3 years old and discovering God and the secrets of the universe. You're talking about you could either say you're talking about a generation, the kinds of people, or that young and 3 is a word that means young but not a baby. Could be. Could be. Alright. So these are good points. But like I said, every halakha in the book we don't have to finish, but these discussions are important. People should walk away with these sodot. Like we learn Yahadut here. We have one more halakha, we're done for the night. I took up all your time. Halovesh an pilaot. What are an pilaot? Nobody speaks Greek or Roman or whatever language is in. Look in parentheses, garbayim. What are garbayim? Socks.
Socks.
Yeah.
Does that come from the word nofel, which is fall?
I don't think so. I think that's not a Jewish word. It could be Aramaic, it could be Roman. Sorry, one moment.
So Anfilaot is not Jewish?
Yeah. Of Shel Levid. I don't know what Levid is. If my father was here, he would help us out. It's not a modern Hebrew word. It could be leather. But I don't want to say so. Okay? I don't want to say for sure. O Shel Bad, or of cloth. Someone's wearing socks. V'yesh behem kshira. And they have laces. Has anyone ever seen socks with laces? Not today. But in the olden days, there were certain socks that you wore under your shoes. Because shoes were more meant to protect your shoes, your socks, which were really your shoes, from like gravel, from stones, from making holes. And you had something of a thicker material, either a cloth or leather, that you would lace up and then put inside of a shoe. You can look it up on older dress. I don't know if when they stopped wearing these. Thank God we don't wear such things. V'chein haloveh Shaar b'gadim. Anyone who wears other clothing, sheyesh behem kshira, that have what to tie in them. Dinam kidin na'alayim. They have the same halakha as shoes. V'lovesh shel yamin tchila, and you put on the right shoe first, the right clothing first, sock. V'lo yiksharenu, you shouldn't tie it. V'achar kach lovesh l'smol. And then you wear the left, v'yiksharenu, and then you tie it. V'yachzor v'yikshor shel yamin, and you go back and tie the right one. Anything you wear that is tied, you put on the right one first, and then the left one. And then you tie the left one first, and then you tie the right one.
Oh, okay.
But normal socks, what about normal socks?
You put on the right first, and then the left. Clothing you always put on right first. Yeah? What other clothing would you have that has tying in it?
Besides
Hat
that,
and
tie.
Yeah, but you don't have a right, you're right, but you don't have a right and a left. Could be their clothing. You know, ladies have all kinds of strange clothing. What if somebody had sleeves that hang down? You can either lace them up or leave them unlaced. So there you would have to lace up the left one first, and then the right one. I don't know if such a thing exists, but I'm thinking of what else could you have?
Or sleeves.
So
So you put your right sleeve on and then your left sleeve.
And generally you start everything you do with your
left
right.
cuff link on and-
Generally we're going to start everything with the right. Guys, the next piece here is all about kippas. Do you wear kippas? When you wear kippas? How do you wear kippas? Walking up straight, how a Jew walks. We're getting more to the derech eretz of how to walk and live as a Jew. This will go until page 35. 35. We'll again have another siyum, B'ezras Hashem, after which we'll learn the laws of the bathroom, which are 17 halachas long. It's a long chunk. The laws of the bathroom.
17.
Yeah.